Part 1: The House That Watches. My name is Aaron, and this is something I've never told anyone outside a very small circle of people. Not because I'm scared of being judged, but because I know that even if you believe me, you can't help me. Nobody can. If you ever see a house with windows completely covered from the inside, leave it alone. My story begins last fall, about 3 weeks after I graduated high school. It was that awkward period where everyone else seemed to know what they were doing with their lives. College, work, moving out, growing up. But not me. My best friend Kyle and I spent most days the same way we did during senior year, driving around, wasting time, pretending we weren't terrified of the future. That night he picked me up around 9 p.m. He pulled up with that stupid grin he always had when he was about to do something reckless. He told me he heard about a house. An old, supposedly abandoned one. A local legend, he called it. Apparently, people said it was haunted. That families who lived there would move away suddenly. Some said they disappeared. I told him to stop trying to be one of those ghost-hunting YouTubers, but he wouldn't drop it. He said it would be our last adventure before life split us up. And like an idiot, I said yes. The road to the house was silent, and the farther we drove, the more it felt like the world around us just vanished. Trees covered the sky like a tunnel, and the pavement turned to cracked dirt. By the time we stopped, I couldn't hear the sound of any other cars, or crickets, or anything at all. The house was buried behind overgrown trees and a rusty gate that hung crooked. The moon was bright enough to reveal how destroyed the place looked, roof sagging, walls cracked, vines creeping over everything like nature was trying to choke it out. But what stood out the most? Every single window was covered. Not boarded up. Just blacked out. Kyle made a joke about vampires. I didn't laugh. It looked like the house didn't want to see us. Or worse, it didn't want something inside to see out. We stepped through the open doorway, and as soon as we crossed it, the temperature dropped at least 30 degrees. My breath fogged instantly. The smell was sickening, like rotten food mixed with old blood. It clung to the air. We stood there for a moment just listening, and then we heard it. A scraping sound. Slow and steady. Coming from upstairs. Kyle looked at me with wide eyes. "We gotta go check that out," he whispered with this fake excitement in his voice. I told him I didn't think that was a good idea, but he was already moving, and I wasn't about to get left alone at the bottom of the stairs. Every step creaked like the house was warning us. But we kept going. The hallway upstairs was long and narrow. Our phone flashlights barely reached the other end. There were doors on both sides, all halfway open, like someone rushed through them in a panic. We went through the first one. It was a child's room. Blue wallpaper with little bears on it. A small bed with just the metal frame left. And on the floor, a toy truck. I stared at it for too long. Something about it felt wrong. My stomach knotted up. Then it happened. The toy truck moved. Not a little wobble. Not because of the floor. It rolled toward me. Straight, slow, like someone was pushing it, but there was no one there. It hit my shoe and stopped. I wasn't brave, I ran. Kyle was right behind me. We didn't look back. We sprinted out the door, down the stairs, through the busted gate, and back to the car. We didn't even talk on the drive home. We just sat there in silence, trying to come up with rational explanations our brains refused to offer. That night I couldn't stop replaying it in my head. The scraping, the cold, that toy truck moving on its own. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it sliding across the floor. Around 2 in the morning, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Kyle. "We're going back tomorrow. I want to film it." Another text. "Don't be a wuss, you're coming." And of course I did. The next day we arrived just before sunset. This time, Kyle had a GoPro strapped to his chest and a real flashlight. I just had a sick feeling in my stomach. The house felt worse this time. Like it remembered us. We walked the same path up the stairs. The toy truck wasn't there anymore. The child's room was exactly how we left it, except completely empty. No truck. No footprints in the dust where it had been. Kyle said, "Let's check the last room." The one at the end of the hall. When we got to it, Kyle turned the doorknob, but before he could push, something on the other side knocked. 3 slow knocks. He laughed nervously and knocked back. The door swung open so fast it smacked the wall. The room was almost completely dark, except for a faint glow behind a large sheet of black material covering the window. Kyle stepped inside, raising his flashlight. I followed, shaking. That sheet covering the window. It wasn't a sheet. It was a face. A massive, pale face stretched across the window like skin. Skull pressed flat against the glass. Hollow eye sockets. No lips, just a torn slit of a mouth that was way too wide. The breath fogging the glass wasn't ours. Kyle whispered, "What the F?" We didn't scream. We just ran. It wasn't until we were outside that we realized Kyle had dropped the camera. He wanted to go back for it, but I refused. I said I would never step foot in that house again. And I meant it. But the house apparently wasn't done with us. That night at my place, Kyle came over so we could watch the footage on his laptop. He scrubbed through the video, us entering, the scraping sound, going back upstairs, then nothing but static once we reached the last room. It was like the camera glitched the moment that face appeared. Then Kyle froze, his eyes got big. He pointed behind me. In the corner of my room. Sitting on the carpet. The toy truck. The same one from the house. I hadn't opened my window. No one else had been inside. There was no way that thing should have been here. But it wasn't just the truck. There were small, wet footprints. Kid-sized footprints leading away from it. Straight to my window. That scraping noise started again, from inside my room, and that sweet, rotten smell flooded the air. Kyle grabbed the toy truck and threw it out the window. The scraping stopped. Neither of us slept that night. The next day, we went to the library to find out what happened in that house. It took hours, but we found old newspaper scans. A family disappeared there in 1991. Another family vanished 8 years later. Police found windows covered from the inside each time. There was one more article. The house caught fire in 2009. According to the paper, it burned down. I looked at Kyle. We were just in it, how? He didn't have an answer. That night Kyle went home. I begged him to stay at my place. But he said he'd be fine. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Kyle. I answered, but there was no voice. Just breathing. And a faint scraping noise. Then the call cut out. I threw on my shoes and drove to his house faster than I ever have before. When I got there, every light in his house was on. I looked up at his bedroom window. Something was pressed against the glass. A face, the same one from the house. I ran inside, calling his name over and over. No answer. Just the scraping sound coming from upstairs. I forced myself up those steps and into his room. And he wasn't there. No blood. No sign of a struggle. He was just gone. But on the floor, his GoPro, still recording. I pocketed it and ran out of that house as fast as I could. I didn't stop running until I got home. I locked every door, every window. Closed every curtain. Then I watched the footage. Kyle was whispering into the camera. If someone finds this, it knows we saw it. And once you see it, it wants to see you. He looked toward the window. The camera turned. That wide, pale face slammed against the glass. The video cut off. That was 3 days ago. Kyle is still missing. The police think he ran away. They don't understand. Last night I looked outside my window, and I saw him. Kyle was standing on the sidewalk, staring up at my house. Not moving. Not blinking. His head was tilted too far to the side, like his neck was broken. And beside him, that same face. No body, just a face stretched over nothing. Pressed against the glass of my bedroom window. Even though I'm on the second floor. I'm looking at it right now as I record this. It's fogging up the glass with every breath. I can hear the scraping inside my walls. I think it's trying to get in. If you've ever seen a house with its windows covered, don't go inside. Don't even look at it. Because if it sees you, it will never stop watching you. Kyle's disappearance should have brought police, reporters, search teams, something. But instead, his mom barely spoke when officers came to take a statement, and they didn't even search the woods behind the house. They just assumed he ran away because we were troubled teens without direction. I kept trying to tell myself they were right, that Kyle had just left, but my brain could only repeat one thing. I saw him, and he wasn't human anymore. Every night since then, I've heard that scraping sound inside my walls. It moves from room to room like something is dragging itself just behind the drywall. Sometimes it bangs hard enough to shake the paintings on the wall. Other times, I hear breathing, heavy, deep breaths, like something is right on the other side of my headboard. And worst of all, I keep seeing Kyle. Or whatever used to be Kyle. The first night after his disappearance, he stood on the sidewalk and stared up at my window. The next night he was closer, standing halfway up my lawn. The night after that, he was right outside my bedroom window. Every time I look at him, he tilts his head even further. Bone should snap at that angle, but he just keeps tilting and tilting. His eyes are black. No whites. No color. Just two empty sockets staring into me. I don't know if Kyle is trapped in there somewhere, or if that thing is just wearing his face like a mask, but I know this. He isn't alone. Because the second night he showed up, that pale, stretched face was pressed against the glass again, right beside him, just a flat sheet of skin over nothing. It's watching. Always watching. And now, whatever it is, has Kyle's body to move around during the day. The GoPro footage, the truth. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to know what happened inside the house, the part the GoPro didn't show. So I connected it to my laptop again and dug deeper into the files. There was a hidden video, one that didn't show up at first, a corrupted file. I clicked repair. Static filled the screen at first, and then a figure appeared. Kyle. He was alone in the dark room, the one with the window face. He whispered, "Aaron, run, you have to run, it's inside the walls." Behind him, the black-covered window pulsed, like a lung breathing in and out. Then Kyle's voice changed. His whisper faded into a deep, low growl that didn't sound human. "Once you see it, it sees you." The window face peeled away from the glass like wet skin being ripped off a body, and darkness spilled into the room behind him. Kyle turned as if something called his name. Then the video cut to black. I shut the laptop so fast it slid off my desk. That same moment, a slow scraping sound started inside my closet. I stared at the door, unable to move. Dust drifted down from the top of the frame like something was crawling up behind it. Then a whisper. "Aaron." Not Kyle's voice. Something lower. Angrier. I stepped back until my shoulders hit the wall. Then the closet door handle slowly began to turn. I didn't wait to see what came out. I ran out of the house. The librarian. I went back to the library the next day. I needed answers, any clue about what lived in that house. The old librarian remembered the articles we found earlier, but when I tried asking her more questions, her whole mood shifted. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She told me the house belonged to the Crowley family decades ago. They were obsessed with death, seances, spirit photography, contacting the afterlife. But they didn't believe ghosts came from the dead. They believed something else was on the other side. Something older. Hungrier. The family vanished one night in the late 1960s. No bodies. Just black stains on the walls. The librarian leaned closer. They said it can only see you if you see it first. I felt sick. She told me others tried to destroy the house, including the fire, but somehow the structure always remained, like it rebuilt itself, like something living inside refused to die. Then she said something I'll never forget. Once you invite its attention, it follows you home. I asked if there was any way to make it stop. She didn't answer. She just glanced at the dark corner of the room behind me, eyes wide with fear. When I turned around, there was nothing there. But that smell, that sweet rotten smell, it was back. Kyle returns. That night I made a mistake. I opened the curtains. Kyle was standing in the yard, neck bent sideways, staring straight up at me. His mouth slowly twisted into an unnatural smile, too wide, almost tearing the corners. Then he lifted his hand and pointed at my front door. I stepped back from the window. A second later, bang, bang, bang. He was knocking. Hard. Violent. Leave me alone, I whispered under my breath. Then I heard the door handle rattle. The scraping inside the walls started spreading faster, louder, surrounding the entire house. My ears popped like the pressure inside was changing. Suddenly, everything went silent. I thought he was gone. I tiptoed toward the window and peeked through the blinds. He was standing inches from the glass, face smashed against it, staring right at me. His lips mouthed a word. Let us in. I fell backward, shaking. Then the upstairs hallway creaked. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Coming toward my bedroom. The face in the door. I pushed my dresser in front of my door. My phone was shaking in my hand as I dialed 911. The footsteps stopped outside my room. Then whispering. Not one voice. Dozens. All speaking at once. We see you. The door began to bow inward, like something was pushing its forehead into it. And then I saw it. That same pale, stretched face. Pressing through my bedroom door. No body. Just skin tightening and pulling against the wood until the nose, the mouth, the eye sockets all formed three-dimensional shapes pushing through the surface, trying to force its way inside. I screamed. 911 answered. I begged them to come. The dispatcher kept telling me to calm down, that it was just a break-in. She clearly didn't understand. The door cracked. A long, groaning sound echoed through the room as the frame splintered. The mouth on the door stretched wider than a human jaw could, like it wanted to swallow me whole. Then suddenly, every sound stopped. The pressure in the room dropped. And the face slid back into the wood. The footsteps retreated down the hall, down the stairs, and then silence. When the police arrived, there was nothing. No footprints. No forced entry. No sign anyone was ever there. But the officer said something that froze my blood. We did find a toy truck on your porch. Probably a prank from the missing kid. Kyle, they left me there alone. Again. I'm running out of time. The walls are vibrating as I record this. The scraping never stops now. It's under the floors, above the ceiling, inside the vents. It's smiling at me through every surface. And Kyle just stands outside, waiting. I don't sleep anymore. I barely eat. I feel watched every second of the day. I tried leaving the house, but the farther I drove, the stronger that pressure felt in my chest. My nose started bleeding, my vision blurred. It wouldn't let me leave. I think it's almost inside. Inside me. I can hear it breathing right next to my ear, even when I'm alone. And now, even when I close my eyes, I still see that face. It sees me. Even in the dark. Especially in the dark. The final attempt tonight. I'm going back to the house. I know that sounds insane, but if Kyle is still in there somewhere, trapped in whatever hell that thing created, I have to try. He would have done it for me. I found a journal on the house in the archives, handwritten notes from one of the Crowleys. I translated a line. Return it to the darkness it came from. Only then can the Watchers sleep again. There must be a way to send it back. I'm driving there now. Recording everything. The scraping has stopped, which scares me more than anything. Because now the silence feels like anticipation. I'm almost there. The trees are closing in. And I see the house, but it looks different. Bigger. Alive. A window upstairs just opened by itself. I can see Kyle's face peeking out from behind the curtains. He's smiling. And beside him, that thing's face stretches across the whole window, grinning wider and wider until... Oh God! I think it knows what I'm about to do. The front door just swung open for me. It's inviting me inside. This may be the last thing I ever record. But if I don't make it out, just remember one thing. Don't look at it. Don't give it your eyes. Don't let it know you can see it. Because once you do, it will never stop watching you. Even after you're gone.